Today is the wedding of my son's stepdaughter, Jessica. She is the stepchild of my son, William. Though not related by blood, she is no less dear to me as a grandchild. Out of excitement for the day, the details of the ceremony, such as the dress design, were kept a secret. So, I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of ceremony it will be and how beautiful everything will turn out. However, my heart, swollen with such expectations, was mercilessly shattered. Oh, something's not right. I instinctively tilted my head, feeling something amiss. Upon arriving at the venue listed on the invitation, there was no one to greet us. Furthermore, the entrance sign listing the day's events didn't include my grandchildren's names. Oh no, did I get the venue wrong? I regretted declining William's offer to come together and checked the venue name again. No matter how many times I looked, there was no mistake in the venue name listed. A bad sweat trickled down my back. Anyway, I need to make a call. Luckily, there was still some time before the ceremony started. Trying to calm my rushing thoughts, I dialed Susan, William's wife, on my mobile phone. Once, twice, 3 times, the increasing urgency with each ring. And just as the 4th ring was about to sound, I heard the connection. Hello? At this moment, I should have realized. The tone of Susan's voice over the phone was oddly perplexed, not fitting for such a joyous day.
Oh, Susan! It's Linda. I'm sorry, I've come to Jessica's venue, but it seems there was a little mistake.
Oh, that? Her voice mocked my panic. Then, in the next moment, she dropped an unbelievable bombshell. We changed the venue without telling someone, in consultation with Jessica. We didn't want strangers to disrupt the day, you see. My name is Linda. Ever since I was widowed years ago, my only son William became my entire family. As time passed, it wouldn't have been odd for William to become the head of his own household. Mom, there's someone I want you to meet. One day, with a rare nervous look, he said. Feeling both relieved and sad that the day had finally come, I immediately arranged a date for a family meeting. And then came the day when I was introduced to William's wife, Susan, who was his high school classmate. My first impression of her, when she came to visit our home, was of a very elegant and kind woman. It turned out that the girl accompanying her, Jessica, bore a striking resemblance to Susan. I learned that Susan had a divorce history, and Jessica was her daughter from her previous marriage. Whether out of embarrassment or nervousness, Jessica looked at us anxiously from behind her mother, stirring a protective instinct in me. William was marrying for the first time, while Susan had been divorced and had a daughter. There must have been considerable conflict within them when decided to go through life together, including all that. From their conversation and atmosphere, I sensed this and happily consented to their marriage. However, I should have realized then the hidden, terrifying nature of Susan. Perhaps due to the economic downturn, William and his wife continued to work after their marriage. This brought up the issue of care for Jessica, who was then 5 years old, and general household chores. While it wasn't a problem during the day as she was in preschool, it was not possible to leave a young child alone afterwards. Being elderly myself, the discussion of moving in with William and his family came up quickly and was agreed upon. Since then, as Jessica progressed through preschool, elementary school, middle school, and high school, I was the one who took care of her. I often participated in school events on behalf of William and his wife, who could hardly take time off. Cheering loudly among the other parents during sports days and capturing Jessica's brave moments with a camera, unaccustomed as I was. During Parent Teachers Day, I, too, amidst younger mothers, when Jessica raised her hand and spoke, sometimes moved to tears. Initially shy, Jessica gradually became accustomed to me and affectionately called me Grandma, as if I were her real grandmother. However, there's nothing as strong as the bond of blood, and even if there is a connection, the significance of a grandmother and a mother in a child's life is vastly different. Tormented by insecurity, I once asked her, "Jessica, do you wish your mom would come to school events instead?" This was around the time Jessica entered the 3rd grade of elementary school, a so-called pre-adolescent age. While everyone else's parents were attending, Jessica always had her grandmother. I wondered if her classmates had said anything or teased her about it. Even if that wasn't the case, I thought Jessica might still prefer her mom to be there. That insecurity spontaneously slipped out. Jessica, for her part, looked surprised and then, as if she couldn't hold it in any longer, burst out laughing. "What's that all about?" "I won't lie and say I didn't want Mom to come. But I'm so much happier when you come. I love you, Grandma." With a shy smile, my granddaughter told me this, and I couldn't help but cry, embarrassed by my own tears. Even if that wasn't the case, I thought she might still prefer her mom to be there.
"Grandma, I'm getting married."
Along with her announcement at 20 came this joyful news. I remember crying tears of pure joy from the bottom of my heart. And then, bashfully, shyly,
"I worked hard on this."
She handed me a handmade invitation.
"Grandma, you have to come. You absolutely must see me in my wedding dress."
Ah, to be cherished like a real grandmother despite not being blood-related. I was sure there could be no happier day than this, and I nodded emphatically to Jessica's words, time and time again. In the quiet lobby of the wedding venue, the words Susan told me were incomprehensible, or rather, my brain refused to understand them. Was it my imagination that a ringing began in my ears? Susan? What did you just say?"
"So, could you not make me say it again? We don't want strangers at Jessica's wedding."
The word strangers. I hoped it was some mistake. With that wish, I insisted further. "But, certainly. Jessica and I are not related by blood. But, I have an invitation directly from her."
"Ah, yes, I got it. I'll just switch the phone to you over to Jessica herself right now."
Such dismissive words, as if belittling someone. Perhaps, without realizing it, I said something that hurt Susan, and her frustration had reached its limit. That's why she said something so mean. However, the main character this time was my granddaughter, Jessica. I believed, surely, she would calm Susan down. I trusted without doubt. Yes, hello."
"Oh, Linda?"
"Linda." That's how Jessica's voice sounded through the mobile phone. So formally, it felt like a knife through my heart. "Jessica? What's with this sudden formality?" "Right, you must be nervous before the wedding. That's it, isn't it? Sorry for bothering you at such a busy time."
"If you know I'm busy, can you just get to the point and hang up? I don't have time to be chatting with strangers."
Just like her mom, in a tone that belittled. In no way had I ever taught her such harsh language to my recollection. "Jessica, what's happened to you? It's really you, right?" It was unmistakably Jessica's voice. But not wanting to believe, not able to accept, such foolish words unintentionally slipped out. To that, she responded, "Humph," with a scornful laugh.
Has Linda gone senile already? Or maybe her hearing's gotten worse, but either way, it's none of my concern, right?"
Vulgar laughter followed. I almost felt darkness envelop me. What on earth happened to her? She used to be so affectionate, always calling me Grandma. When I doubted whether I could ever replace her mom.
"I love you,"
she smiled and told me. "My dear Jessica." Bashfully, shyly, she insisted I attend her wedding. Was all of that, everything, just a lie? On such a happy, celebratory day, why must I continue to receive such cruel words from my beloved Jessica? Oh, how wonderful it would have been if these tears were of joy. Hello, Linda? Can you hear me? You didn't die of shock, did you? Again, that tasteless laughter and foul language reached my ears. To be honest, I hadn't completely recovered from the shock. However, a part of me that refused to be spoken to in such a one-sided manner gathered strength and mustered a voice. Don't worry, I haven't died. How feeble and unreliable my voice sounded. Was it switched to speakerphone again, or could I hear Susan's vulgar laughter? Ha ha ha. It would be bad luck for me if someone died on my wedding day, after all. Prioritizing her own convenience over the well-being of a grandmother, even if not by blood. The relentless, selfish words finally made my anger surpass my shock.
Jessica, enough is enough. What's with that language since earlier? I did not raise you to be such a child.
What are you talking about? Suddenly, her voice was as cold as a blizzard, unlike anything I had heard before.
Who asked to be raised? You just took care of things on your own and acted like a parent on your own, right? I've always thought this, but you're just annoying for someone who's just a stranger. What?
Taking care of things on my own. Acting like a parent. Annoying. These words shredded through the beautiful memories I had with Jessica like a knife, mercilessly destroying them. I no longer had the strength to argue back or to admonish her I cherished so much. Satisfied with my silence, or perhaps just remembering something. Suddenly, her tone softened, and Jessica said, "Ah, right. A present from the lovely one to the terribly annoying person who's about to die soon." For some reason, I could vividly imagine Jessica grinning devilishly, her lips stretched ear to ear. If you want to continue being my grandma, send me $1,000 every month for living expenses. Then, I'll continue being your Jessica. What kind of gift is that? It's nothing but extortion. My mind was made up then and there. All right, I understand. Doing my best to keep calm and not let them mock me any further, I made my decision known. I no longer consider you as my granddaughter. I wish you all the best, Jessica.
Yay! Then I'll send you the bank account for the transfer later. What did you say?
The dumbfounded voice of the woman who used to be my granddaughter. Before she could say anything else, before my emotions could burst, I pressed the end call button to forcibly end the conversation. In the quiet, empty lobby of the wedding venue. It didn't take long for the soft sobs of a pitiful old woman to echo quietly. I didn't want to remember what happened after that. I hurried back to the familiar home before William and his wife could return. Before they came back, I packed the bare minimum of clothes and valuables, and left the home I had grown accustomed to. I didn't want to spend another second in a space shared with those women. Fortunately, thanks to the inheritance left by my late husband and the savings from working part-time while taking care of Jessica, I didn't have to worry about being left destitute. For the time being, I could stay at a Holiday Inn or a microtel and look for a new place from there. Leaving behind furniture and items I couldn't carry was regrettable. I felt bad for William, but once I found a new place to live, I'd have him send my belongings to my new home at my expense. However, during what I assumed was the midst of Jessica's wedding, William tried to call me several times. He might have been worried that I got into some accident or was lost. He must have called numerous times out of concern. Feeling guilty towards my own son, but understanding it was his beloved daughter's wedding day, I couldn't interrupt. Plus, I had no idea what those women might have told him about me. First and foremost, I needed to secure a place to sleep for the night. So, I had no choice but to ignore William's calls during the ceremony. As my phone's screen was nearly filled with missed calls from William, I finally found a hotel for the night in the evening and was able to answer his call.
You finally picked up. Mom, where are you?
William's voice came through, relieved yet frustrated. My guilt intensified. I couldn't say anything, how could I? There was no telling what those spiteful women had told William about me.
Damn, everyone's been worried sick. You didn't answer no matter how many times I called, and Susan and Jessica said they hadn't heard from you.
Ah, so those two hadn't said anything in particular. That thought settled in my mind, making its own sense. Speaking up could jeopardize their position as much as mine. So, they chose to play ignorant on purpose. How wicked can they be?
Mom, did you say something?
No, nothing. Rather, I really feel terrible for not being able to attend Jessica's wedding. I'm sorry. Never in my life have I given such a superficial apology. And hopefully, I never will again. I want to believe that. Unaware of my turmoil. William stammered.
So, you're not involved in some accident or incident, right?
Yes, I'm physically fine, other than my heart. Sorry to worry you. This time, the apology came from the heart. Relieved that my heart hadn't frozen towards William.
It's good you're safe, but if you were, you could have at least sent a message or two. We were worried sick, couldn't even focus on the ceremony.
To this, a half-hearted "I'm sorry" slipped out again. Oh, how it hurts. I need to end this call quickly. And, William, there's something else I need to apologize for.
What? What's going on all of a sudden?
Even I realize how ominous my way of starting this conversation sounds. But I wanted to end the call quickly, not wanting to be hurt any further, so I blurted out my feelings. I'm sorry, but I've grown tired of living with Susan. So, I've decided to move out, starting today.
What, Ash? Hey, what are you talking about doing things on your own?
I'm well aware it's presumptuous of me. Cutting off William's voice, more words against my feelings were woven. But Jessica is married now, right? Having someone like me around would only make Susan uncomfortable, and it makes me feel awkward too.
A stranger? That's not something you say.
William's indignation was palpable even over the phone. Poor thing. The words you're outraged by were spoken by your wife to your mother.
Anyway. Mom, where are you now? I'll come pick you up, just tell me where.
I won't return. Firmly. Without allowing any rebuttal, I declared. Seizing the moment while William was taken aback, I continued. Once I've settled on a new place, I'll inform you of the address. At that time, I'm sorry, but I'd like you to send my belongings left behind, at my expense.
No, we'll send them. Just tell me.
I won't trouble you beyond that. Please, be happy. While William seemed to be still making a fuss, I ignored him and ended the call. A moment of silence. Just after the traffic lights changed, the sound of several cars starting could be heard faintly from outside the window, reflecting the colors between dusk and night. Finding a new place to live, changing my address, and above all, finding a new job. There's so much to do now. But first, what I needed to do was to rest this weary body and mind. From tomorrow, I'll get serious about this. It felt like I'd heard that phrase somewhere before. While pondering such thoughts, I ungracefully collapsed onto the plain bed provided. From then on, it was a race against time. I had dashed out in almost a fugitive manner. Regardless of William's vile wife, William himself might have filed a missing person report with the police prematurely. So, my focus was on finding a new place to live. Being reported missing could mean being forcibly returned home. After all, I'm just an old woman living alone. I didn't need luxury, the bare minimum for living was enough. Fortunately, I found a place to live within a few days. The deciding factor was its immediate availability. Next, though reluctant, I contacted William and his wife. I reported via text messages that I had found a new place and, regrettably, asked them to send my left-behind belongings at my expense. There might be pushback. Perhaps they would insist on coming over to discuss. Though I had such worries. Understood. William's reply was unexpectedly simple. Maybe Susan had intervened in some way. As detestable as William's wife could be, this time, I was grateful for her cunning. Reluctantly, though. Thus, my belongings left behind arrived at my new residence, and, fortunately, I quickly found a new job. It was sad to become estranged from William, but this marked the start of a new life for me, Linda. How many years have passed since those nightmarish days? I had become completely estranged from William and his wife, and the memories of that day were covered in dust in a corner of my mind. It happened one afternoon. An incoming call lit up the screen of my well-worn mobile phone, a rare occurrence. The caller wasn't registered in my contacts, only a phone number displayed. I could guess it was from a mobile phone based on the area code. A new scam, perhaps? Lately, the news had been filled with stories of scammers targeting the elderly to steal their money. But would such a scam group make such a blatant mistake? Or it could be from work. It wasn't unusual to be asked to cover a shift due to a coworker's sudden illness. Maybe the new manager, struggling with the shift schedule, had called. If it was a scam call, I could just hang up immediately. With that caution, I pressed the call button. Hello?
Linda. It's me, Susan. It's been a while.
Instantly, the nightmare of that day returned, and I felt a rush of anger flood my brain. I had to resist the impulse to hang up or hurl insults. Who is this? I don't have a daughter. Trying to keep my composure, yet my voice was colder than I expected, betraying my suppressed anger. And it seemed to reach her too. A hesitancy came through the line.
Oh, that. I'm truly sorry for what happened that day. Both Jessica and I were out of our minds. Please forgive us.
She was probably apologizing over the phone, desperation evident in her voice. Without being swayed, I continued. Therefore, I do not have a daughter-in-law who disrespects and scorns her husband's mom as a stranger, nor do I have a biological daughter. This call is a waste of my time. Goodbye.
Wait, please. Hear me out, Linda.
Susan's voice was crying, no, truly wailing in a disgraceful manner. She was this desperate, perhaps something had happened to William. This concern made me hesitate to press the end call button. I'll listen to what you have to say, but make it quick.
Thank you, Linda.
Great. Another female voice, faintly heard over the call. Though we hadn't been in touch, I couldn't possibly forget. It was Jessica's voice, my former granddaughter. Unaware that her voice was heard, Susan's voice suddenly turned sugary sweet.
The thing is, embarrassingly, Jessica and I are currently in debt.
It's really embarrassing, isn't it? I wanted to retort, but I quietly listened instead. We owe about $50,000, and there's no way Jessica and I can pay it back on our own. So, Linda, please think of helping your dear granddaughter and DIL by paying it for us. For a moment, I was unable to react, just like that nightmarish day. Debt? $50,000? Expecting me to pay it? Me, a stranger? May I ask something? Anger was blinding me. Yet I managed to keep my voice calm. Do William or Jessica's husband know about this? Her hesitation was telling. It seemed the debt was a secret from them.
It doesn't matter right now.
Impatient, or perhaps having snatched the mobile phone, Jessica chimed in.
Besides, it's all because Grandma stopped being my grandma and didn't pay the $1,000 monthly living expenses. That's why this happened. It's your responsibility. Yes, take the responsibility.
Something snapped inside me. At the same time I could faintly hear Susan trying to calm Jessica down.
Enough, you fools!
A shout of anger I probably never had before surprised even me as it burst out. Through the call, I could sense the two of them flinching. Without paying any mind to that, I continued to spew vitriol, driven by my erupting rage.
What, dear granddaughter and DIL? What responsibility? Don't joke with me. Weren't you the ones who first severed our relationship by declaring me a stranger? Huh? Wait. I'm your son's daughter. Isn't it a grandma's job to help when in trouble? Even if you are my son's daughter, we're not related by blood, are we? Who was it that first cut off our relationship, huh? Answer me.
Jessica was at a loss for words. Seizing the moment, I pressed on.
Don't try to act like family only when it suits you after pushing people away as strangers. Sort out your own debt. If you call again, I'll report it as a scam call.
Before they could respond, I hung up for good. Back to the silence of my familiar room. I immediately blocked Susan's number from calling me again. Yet, the anger inside me didn't subside.
I'm so angry.
Even shouting didn't calm my anger. But staying here could lead to me lashing out at objects, which would only make things worse.
Really, there's no helping it.
To psych myself up, I slapped both cheeks. Then, I grabbed a jacket, my wallet, and my bag, and left the room. Not that I was going to help those two or head to William's house. The best way to vent my pent-up anger was to indulge in some delicious food. I justified my decision and vowed to splurge a bit today. There's actually a follow-up to this story. A few days after that incident, I received a call from William. The first in several years since we had exchanged messages about my new address after Jessica's wedding. According to William, he had recently divorced Susan. The cause was the debt she tried to solicit from me. Digging deeper, it appeared that Susan had initially approached William for his money, and after marrying him, she freely spent without restraint, hiding it from William. This spendthrift behavior was passed on to her daughter Jessica, who, facing payment difficulties, was also confronted with a divorce proposition from her husband. Mom, I'm sorry for saying horrible things without fully listening to your side back then. William's voice was filled with genuine regret, making my heart ache. I wondered if anything would have changed if I had spoken the truth back then. But regrets can't change the past. Only the future can be altered. It's okay. By staying silent, thinking of you, I only ended up causing you more pain. Afterward, we talked about trivial things, the kind of small talk we hadn't shared during our years of silence. About work, our environments, the people around us. I hadn't realized how precious such mundane conversations could be, like those shared over a meal. We promised to visit each other someday, and then we ended the call. Years have passed since then. I have no idea what happened to that troublesome mother and daughter, nor do I care. They're probably still struggling with debts. As for my son William, he met a new wife and was blessed with a child this spring. As for me, I've continued with the job I started after that day. It's surprisingly enjoyable, and since I don't live far from William and his family, I've just carried on with my life. So much has happened. I opened the window leading to the balcony and stepped out. The view outside spread wide. In the distance, cherry blossoms lined the roads, their pink flowers blooming. Having lived in this apartment for several years, I realized I had never noticed this view before. Perhaps I had been too narrow-minded and stressed to see it.
Hopefully, both of us can enjoy a wonderful spring from now on.
As I murmured this, a spring breeze caressed my cheek, as if to offer consolation.